Hayden, 2 months after that tornado tore through this area in April, this neighborhood is still a sea of blue tarps. This is a very familiar sight. Cars with nearly a foot of snow on top of them, and these snow and ice banks just surrounding the cars. I mean, take a look at this chunk of ice. Windows are boarded up. This tree is completely charred. I'm told this shooting happened outside of a funeral for a 53-year-old woman. People at the front told me they waited for 4 hours. Take a look at this. It's nearly impossible to break it up. There are still plenty of fire hydrants out here in the less urban areas of Oldham County. The problem is they don't have enough water pressure to go the distance. Over 140 big trucks drive down St. Catherine Street a day. They're still not able to go back inside yet, but here's a live look at what we can see. And as you can see, there aren't a ton of cars out right now. It seems like most people have taken those warnings seriously. It is packed shoulder to shoulder in here now. I'm gonna have to grab one of these loaves on my way out. Buying a firearm starts with this form, but come January 1st, it'll be harder for some Kentuckians to fill it out, at least truthfully.
We cannot transfer you a firearm if you check yes in this box.
The box gun store owner Ryan Kreider refers to asks, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana? Once the calendar flips to January, medical marijuana is legal in Kentucky, but remains illegal under federal law. This clash leaves Kentuckians caught in the crossfire.
You cannot possess firearms and ammunition and also be a user of marijuana.
ATF Special Agent A.J. Gibbs says the law doesn't just apply to new gun purchases. Current gun owners who get medical marijuana cards face a decision. If a Kentuckian is getting a medical marijuana card, are they expected to give up their guns?
They're not expected to. If they wish to follow federal law and not be in violation of it, then they need to make the decision to divest themselves from those firearms.
Violators face prison time and a fine of up to $250,000. However, ATF says charges will likely only be pursued in connection to another felony offense.
We are not actively seeking and working solely for any investigations involving just the possession of firearms and marijuana because of our finite resources.
Still, it's a decision Kentuckians who want to follow the law will have to face until marijuana is legal federally or an exemption is added to federal gun laws.
I think the federal government in the near future needs to figure out how the Second Amendment and marijuana is going to coexist, because it is already coexisting and it'll just be more prevalent in the future.
For now, to follow the law, Kentuckians will have to decide what matters more, their Second Amendment rights or their health. Adi Schanie, WDRB News. In just 2 days, riders at TARC stops like this one will have fewer buses to catch. I talked with a man at one stop who says the news brought him to tears.
It's going to be tougher for every single person out here.
Michael McLemore rides a TARC bus most days. He didn't know that soon he'll have a longer wait at the bus stop until WDRB told him.
Now we'll be out here hotter.
When we met McLemore, he was sweating in a sweatshirt and pants in nearly 90-degree heat.
A lot of us don't have what it takes to be cool out here.
McLemore rides the bus downtown to get help he says he desperately needs.
It'll be harder to get resources, matter of fact.
Starting Sunday, TARC is slashing service. 4 routes that make up nearly half of TARC's ridership won't be affected at all. 3 routes will be cut entirely, and the rest of its routes will all have fewer buses running.
It's probably about a 20% reduction.
TARC is on a financial cliff. The federal COVID relief money that funds 40 to 50% of all routes has dried up. Compared to similar cities, TARC says it gets less money from the state.
If we continue on our current path of additional revenue is not found, TARC will need to consider additional service level cuts in the coming years.
TARC couldn't give me an answer on how soon or what those cuts would look like. It's launching a planning process called TARC 2025 to find out what the community wants the future of TARC to look like. But how much money the service will get is not up to TARC or its riders. That lies in the hands of local government officials. Fewer buses running means longer waits for riders like McLemore. To him, it feels personal.
It does for the side of the face. I'm already out here struggling, knowing now that I got to do that much more with that much less.
He dried his tears as he ran to catch what for some is just a bus, but for him is a lifeline. How much longer riders could be waiting depends on each route. For some, it's upwards of a couple hours. Scrolling through childhood photos,
Every time I look back to her, I really go back there.
brings back painful memories for Hadley Duvall.
So at this point, the abuse had already been going on for a year.
Duvall's stepfather raped her for the first time when she was 5 years old.
When you're 5 years old and you have your father figure telling you that this is how it's life, this is what it is, this is normal, then that's what you believe is normal.
Photos show wounds from the abuse.
I started to get older and I started to fight back. And that was the first physical altercation that I had trying to protect myself.
She told her mom the carpet burn on her knee was from slipping on ice. At 12 years old, her stepfather took her out of language arts class to take a pregnancy test.
I took it in my bathroom and it was just so many thoughts were going through my head.
It was positive.
This was right after the miscarriage.
When this happened 10 years ago, Duvall would have been able to get an abortion.
Now, for little girls who 12 years old in the same position, what would their options be?
They don't have any options. They have to carry.
The overturning of Roe versus Wade prompted Duvall to share her story. Alongside Senator David Yates, she championed a bill that would add exceptions to Kentucky's abortion ban for rape and incest.
Nobody spoke up for me. Nobody fought for me.
Even Republicans have supported the call to add narrow exceptions in Kentucky's abortion ban.
It was interpreted correctly, unfortunately, and that's why the legislature needs to come back to the table and change the law.
But this year, Hadley's law stalled. It didn't even get a committee hearing.
But then to also think about children who could be potentially carrying a pregnancy right now, that is just so, it really breaks my heart.
According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, 20 states have abortion bans or early gestational limits on abortion, and Kentucky is one of 10 seen here in dark blue with no exception for rape or incest. A spokesperson for Senate Republican leadership said the bill ultimately did not carry enough support to move through the legislative process. Hadley, who now wants to be a therapist, says she will not give up the fight.
Just because we weren't heard out this time, we're not done.
I remember having distinct memories of today is the day I'm going to die.
Michael DeVary worked on helicopters in the Army for 6 years. The first time he was deployed to Iraq in 2005, he was 19, newly married, with a baby boy on the way.
You bottle everything up for the most part. You put on a good face.
In 2007, he deployed to Afghanistan.
I called them on the phone and my kid said, "I love you, Daddy," and I broke.
Returning home was hard.
My kid didn't even recognize who I was.
To cope, he turned to alcohol.
I drank because I didn't want to feel.
At 28, DeVary was arrested for drunk driving. He says he wasn't a drinker before the Army.
Before this, I was Mr. Perfect.
He stopped drinking for 6 years. Then, his internal battles caught up with him.
And then I spiraled back down, out of control.
He got his second DUI. Sitting in a jail cell, facing prison time and a suspended license, a woman with Veterans Court came up to him.
I just jumped on it. It was everything I had, and I put everything I had into it to get better.
Through Veterans Court, participants check in with the court, attend a sobriety program, and behavioral sessions. If they complete the program, their sentence will be reduced and their charges expunged or completely dismissed. Judge Maria Granger started a Veterans Court in Floyd County in 2011. Her stepson was a combat medic in Iraq.
He loved the military.
The 26-year-old never returned home from his deployment. A helicopter he was riding in crashed in a lake on the way to Iraq. Veterans Court is how she carries on his legacy.
There is a carry on, a way to pay forward the goodness that we lost in our soldier.
Over 100 people have gone through the program.
It heals me to see them heal.
It has an almost perfect success rate of veterans not returning behind bars.
I was able to maintain my job and my income, my livelihood, and everything didn't crash and burn like I thought it was going to.
A chance for our justice system to repay the men and women who have fought for our flag. With photojournalist Brian Manuel, Adi Schanie, WDRB News.